Second World War, Panter-Downes was the voice of England, and more particularly London, for many Americans, writing detailed fortnightly letters on the situation across the Atlantic. While these included politics, each provided an account of everyday life, from queuing to bus services. She continued her Letter from London into the 1980s. For many years, it was for this form of journalism that Panter-Downes was best remembered. In recent years, more of her fiction has been republished. Her remarkable post-war novel, One Fine Day, 1947, has been recognised as a modern classic, and her New Yorker short stories have found a new audience. She lived long enough to see some of this reappraisal happen, dying in January 1997, survived by 2 daughters and a lot of excellent writing. Preface. My Husband Simon was Mollie Panter-Downes' 4th and last pre-war novel, before she turned her focus to short stories and journalism. Though reflective of its time, referencing the servant problem, for instance, it still has something to say to a contemporary audience about the position of women, the complexity of relationships, and the desire for self-expression. Furthermore, amid the ambivalent emotions and the difficult choices, there are sharply observed sensual descriptions of smells and vivid evocations of place. My Husband Simon begins with the narrator, Nevis Falconer, in New York in 1930, looking back on her first meeting with Simon Quinn, when she was just 21, and the intense physical attraction which led to their tempestuous marriage. To the reader, Nevis might seem the central character, but the title reflects her description of Simon as the dominant figure in her unwritten book. Throughout the story, in autobiographical echoes, Nevis is struggling to reproduce the freedom and success of her first novel. There is much about the importance of writing, of needing the space, independence, and opportunity to write. A Room of One's Own had been published in 1929, and a knowledge of Virginia Woolf is one of Nevis's tests of intellect. There is a strong element of, partly acknowledged, partly satirical, intellectual snobbery in Nevis's attitude to literary taste, and she foreshadows Betjeman by several years in her description of Slough. Yet while Nevis, to some extent, compares intelligence unfavourably with intuition, it is Simon, whose lack of interest in books and reading is contrasted with his father's bibliographical enthusiasms, and the well-read Marcus Chard, who predicts that Nevis will have left him before their 10-year pact of town living is up, and who first articulates that Marcus, her American publisher, is in love with her. The novel reflects many of the themes of the period, such as the fear of change felt by some, and the desperate longing for change endured by others. Nevis experiences an overwhelming sense of suffocation, both literal and psychological, in the stifling heat and in the company of her in-laws, and is contrasted in this by her more acquiescent sister-in-law, Gwen. Many people will recognise her feelings of restriction and limitation, and her attempt to overcome them. Alison Bailey, Lead Curator, Printed Heritage Collections, 1901 to 2000, British Library. Chapter 1. New York, Autumn, 1930. I sometimes wonder, looking back at everything with the experience that 4 years ought to have brought, whether I would make up my mind quite so precipitously to marry Simon Quinn if I met him for the first time today. There are moods in which I tell myself, not a hope. Freedom and work are the only important things. My God, haven't 4 years taught you anything at all, you damn little fool? But at the back of my head, I know quite clearly that if it happened all over again, I should marry Simon just the same. I could yell and scream.